Welcome. Thanks, everybody. It's 10 o'clock. We should go ahead and get started. This is Unhindered by Coding again. I'm supposed to be looking at my thingamadoogie here, and I forgot. So this is episode 14 of Unhindered by Coding. And we're building at the moment a web app using Rust and the U library for Rust, which is kind of React for Rust and WASM WebAssembly. And we've managed to get the basics of an app up that can request repos from GitHub and display them. We're going to actually today, I'm going to introduce DaisyUI components. Daisy's a collection of UI components built on top of Tailwinds, and I think will give me a somewhat more uniform look and feel. More polished look and feel to the app. And then after that, we'll see whether we want to deal with error handling or my string slice problem. I'm not sure which. So let's actually remind ourselves what this thing looks like. So this is what it looks like at the end of when we were together on Saturday. And it's a pretty icky user interface, to be honest with you. It's pretty clumsy, but we can enter an organization, and it says here or a GitHub Classroom, but we actually don't support that yet. Hit submit, and it does successfully go out to GitHub and get the list of unarchived repositories. Actually, it gets all the repositories because we can't filter on unarchived in the request. I think if we switch to GraphQL, we could, but we can't at the moment with the standard REST request. So we filter out the already archived repositories on our end, and we display them in order of last push. So oldest last push to newest last push. So this was last pushed on the 23rd of January 2020. This was pushed on the 30th of January. This was pushed on the 3rd of February, etc. And the idea then is that we'll turn this into a checklist of some sort, and you'll be able to say, I want to archive all of these, hit the big archive button, and then it would send the necessary requests to GitHub to archive those particular repositories. So that's where we're headed. Now, as I said, this is not super beautiful, and so I was like, I'd like to actually see if we could make Daisy work. Actually, I meant to clean up the tabs here, and I did not. So Daisy is a open source Tailwind component library, and provides alerts and buttons and carousels and checkboxes. Checkboxes are good because we're going to need those. Drop downs, blah blah blah. So lots of stuff that might be useful and give me a more consistent look and feel. Also, it provides pagination, and turns out that that's gonna matter because we're getting by default the GitHub API will give you 30 repositories in a request. You can crank that up to a maximum of 100, but I might actually need more than 100 in some cases. So simply just asking for 100 isn't going to necessarily get us where we want to go. So we're going to need to support some kind of pagination here, and having something that like has has the controls and does all the nice stuff would definitely be convenient. So that's a thing to do. Actually, I wonder if that would be a thing to work on today, since we're doing the DaisyUI stuff. We'll see where we end up. But that actually might be a reasonable thing to do, is to work on that some today. So yeah, Daisy seemed like that would be cool. There is a DaisyUI Rust library, but it doesn't work. Let's see. It's mentioned here, Daisy. TailU. So I think there are versioning issues going on. I think that U is changing fast enough that this isn't keeping up. And so this library doesn't actually work. And like if you go to their demo page, you get hello, because they've actually basically commented out all the demo stuff, because it doesn't work. And I was like, oh, this is terrible. I want a library that would do it work for me. And then I thought about it a while, and it's like, really, this is just some CSS. It's really just a plugin for Tailwinds, and I already have Tailwinds cooked in. So why not just try adding Daisy by hand and see if we can get that to work? And lo and behold, it did. So if we switch over to this branch, and now it'll rebuild. Yeah. Now, while that's building, so what I did in that branch, there are two things. One is I added DaisyUI just as an NPM dependency. So Tailwinds was added through NPM, and you would normally install Daisy through NPM. So I just did it by hand, like, NPM install DaisyUI, and lo and behold, we get that dependency. And then you add that configuration as a plugin here in Tailwind config.js. So this was empty before, an empty array. And so we add the required DaisyUI here. And now if you do an npm install, you get Daisy. And in the compilation, you even see that as it builds, is the Webpack, I think it's the Webpack doing the things, unless it's this, it might be the Tailwind CSS. I'm not sure, probably the Tailwind CSS is doing it, actually. It says, oh, hey, I depend on the DaisyUI plugin, so I'm going to load that up. So we see that that's happening. And I also made changes, or let's look at the code, the app. So I added some stuff, and lo and behold, it looks like nicer. I mean, I don't like this font. We're going to have to do something about that, I think. But we still get the same basic setup. The bottom is all the same as it was before, but now this top part is using the hero component. Let's see, we go there. Yeah, so, actually, it's probably easier to look at this. Where is hero? There it is. So DaisyUI has a hero component, and so we're working with, basically I hacked up this thing, moved the message to the left, modified this to just be show me your, or enter your organization, and we've now got sort of, I think, a nicer top. And this does a pretty nice job on small devices. So we're still right up to the edge down here. We'll have to fix that, but we're doing pretty good. This actually looks pretty reasonable on a variety of devices, so I'm not too unhappy about that. And so I think that was a good thing. I was happy with that. That seemed to be a win, and that made me think that working with Daisy was probably going to be a good thing. So I was very pleased about that. So we're going to merge that. Oh, actually, I did merge that in. I just need to update. So I'm actually going to come back over here. So I merged the try DaisyUI into main on GitHub, and I just hadn't pulled it into main here because I wanted to be able to see the difference between them in the stream here. But now that we've done that, I'm going to pull that, and I assume we're rebuilding. Yeah. And hopefully now everything will be good. Come on, here we go. Load just to be sure. Yeah, that's great. Now, one thing that's changed is we went from a dark theme to a light theme, and I'm not quite sure why that happened. Somehow switching to Daisy must have modified the theming, but this was dark last night, so it must be dependent on not entirely sure what's going on there. But this color is way too light to be readable, so I'm going to just hack that quick. And then we'll actually, this shouldn't even be here anymore because we filter out archived repositories right here on this line. So this is never going to be true. So really all we need is the repository name. Okay. So I'm actually going to clean that up too while I'm here. Boop, 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 and tab you over, and then I'll make you like 700. And let's see if that was better. Oh yeah, that's a lot more readable. Okay. Now I have to do something better with actual proper theming. Now that I have Daisy supports theming, and I can do sort of useful things there. And I'm going to have to do that. But we'll push that off for now and deal with that later. Okay. So let's actually look at what we did. Because it does have some consequences, and I think I want some renaming, actually. Probably. So, where's my, yeah, here we go. So I have what was called the text input component, which probably needs a new name, I'm thinking. I'm gonna turn this light on. Oh, that's a little better. I was looking a little horror film in the dark there. Didn't need to be totally noir about this. So this used to just be a text input, and it's become more than that. And so it's probably going to have its name changed. But let's actually look at what we do here in the HTML part, and then we can think about what would make sense for a better name. We are using, as I said, the Daisy hero component, and one thing I changed is their hero component example. They had min h screen, which meant that their hero component would expand to fill the vertical space extent of the screen, which wasn't great, because then when you ran it, well, actually we can actually just do that, right? Min h screen, boom. Now it will rebuild. There we go. Now this fills the whole screen, which for a regular hero thing would make sense, but I don't know why it's doing it twice every time. Now the list of repositories is below the screen. You can't even see that it's happened. And that didn't seem good. And so I changed it to min h fit, which is the Tailwind specification for making it tall enough to hold what it has, but don't make it any taller than that. Yeah, ever since I added Daisy, for some reason it seems to run everything twice, and that doesn't seem good to me. It'll certainly slow us down. So I may need to figure out why that's happening. Yeah, so that seemed like a better vertical layout issue than their default. And then we've got this text section that provides the sort of this welcome message with this sort of the big title and the subtitle, and then we have a card, which is this card here, and we have the label. What organization would you like to archive repositories for? So that's this text here, which is a pretty long label, but since I'm not, I'm trying to just jump right in and not have people have to like go figure out what's going on. It seemed like having sort of a label like this would not be a bad thing. Then where we had, so this is the bits from before. So we have a text input, which we had before, and it's got a placeholder organization. That's, let's reload. That's the gray text here, and when there's an input on that, we're going to call our input callback, and that's defined, sorry for the scrolling, right here, and that's the same as what we had before. So when there's input, we're updating our state field contents to be the current state of the text form, the input field, and we set the value to be the value of that state. And that's again the same as before, so we haven't really done anything different there. And then we have a button, so this big submit button now is basically the same as before, just with the styling, and we have that it has the on click callback, which is the same code as before, that says that when we get, so they click the button, then we get the the contents of the field and we emit them, which sends them back up to the parent component, which is the whole app in this case. And then the parent component will send that organization to the repository list component, which makes the HTTP request and yada, yada, yada. So that actually does that all stuff. And that was kind of nifty, and that wasn't too bad. And so I was pretty happy with that way that worked out. And I think we're in pretty good shape there. The one thing is that to say this is a text input seems completely not right anymore. I'm not sure what the right answer is, but it doesn't seem like that's the thing to do at the moment. It feels like, and I don't know, part of me is a little frustrated, not frustrated, that's the wrong word, a little unhappy with the idea of this hero component combining the sort of welcome information and this text input. Feels like it's kind of doing two things at once. But from a user interface standpoint, from a user interface standpoint, I think this is good. I like it. From a code standpoint, software development standpoint, I'm not as thrilled, because I feel like we're mixing a couple of things here, that this is one thing and this is another thing. Now, I guess I could actually have the hero, maybe this is the thing to do. Maybe the hero component should have two subcomponents, one of which is this and one of which is this, and then they would look the same out here at the user land, but in the developer side of things, these would be two separate pieces, and logically they feel like two separate pieces to me. So I kind of feel like that's what I ought to do. Now, how hard would that be? Let me look at the code. And then it might be easier to give things names, because one of the things, I think this is a bad name, but I'm not sure what a good name is, right? I mean, because it's doing multiple things, it's not as clear what a good name for it would be. And if I split it, maybe the naming problem would become simpler. So let me think. What would need to happen here? So basically this div, so this div here could become its own component that would be the sort of title component. And then all of this could become its own component. And actually, let me scoot you guys in too, so it's clear that that's part of the card. Could become their own component, and we could then drop them in to the hero thing here. Wow, I like that. I think that would be an improvement, actually. So let's do that. Okay. Let's see if we can make that work. So this would become the title component. And we're going to get enough components here. At some point, having everything in main.rs is going to stop being a good idea. What do I have for components? Homepage, about, app, text input. Okay. So, I could just put... do I want to organize the components in the order that they appear? the home component's kind of at the bottom. So they're sort of, so the app is down here. And then homepage is there, which seems kind of random, actually. I'm going to put title here. I think we're going to have to move stuff, but function, component, title, or welcome? Well, let's call it welcome. I like the sentiment of that better. FN welcome, HTML, boom. Put you there. Put you guys out there. Oh, we need to do an HTML bang around that. HTML bang. That's why nothing's happy. And that means you guys need to be indented one more. Okay. And so we could come back up to here. And this would be now welcome. We'll comment that out. Now let's see if everything builds and if that indeed still does the same thing. Beely beely boo. It builds, yay! Now does it work? It looks the same. And that's a happy thing. Okay, so then I think this is a good idea. So I think we'll do that. We're going to make this go away. And now all of this is going to become the component copy. I guess we're kind of doing things biggest at the bottom, smallest at the top. I don't know if there's a common strategy for this, either in U or in, well, here, I wonder. So I think I have lots of U things. Do I have, I don't really need that anymore. I don't need that tab. Boring you with, here we go. So, is there going to be an example that is long enough to have multiple components? So I think this function to do MVC has several components. Oh, it does. And in fact, it has its own components directory. Interesting. So what do we do here? This is the app, and the app is the only component in this file. And then they've moved the other key components into their own. So like info footer is going to be in here. Yeah. So they've really split things out, which is probably really what we ought to be doing, to be honest with you. Because otherwise main's going to get really cluttered. I don't think I'm going to do that right now. I think right now we'll just kind of mangle things and then we'll tidy up downstream. It does suggest to me, though, that welcome should really be closer to this. Having welcome way down here, I think, is not smart. We want it to be lexicographically closer to where we use it. And we seem to mostly be doing little things above big things. So I'm going to put welcome there. And then I'll grab all of, nope, I'm going to grab all of this and make a component here. Function, component. Enter repository. I don't know. I don't know if anybody else knows if there's a best practice for naming components in React. Like, should they be named as verbs or as nouns? Like, do you want a component that is a thing or an action? And I don't know if there's a best practice there. Let us have a quick look. Best practice naming React components. Let's have a look at this. Domain, page context, component name, type. So these all seem to be names, or nouns, and not verbs. So domain probably doesn't really matter for us. We don't have that complicated a space. We don't have multiple pages or contexts, so really it's a component name. So I think something like maybe repository entry would be a little better. I don't know. FN repository entry returns HTML, HTML bang, paste. Let's indent all of you guys. Okay. And now, in theory, we should be able to comment you folks out and replace you with repository entry. Oh, except we've got a pass down and a emit back problem. So we've got this logic, the on input. So we have the state and the props and these two callbacks are in this text input component. Oh, you know what? This probably ought to be repository entry, and it would have these pieces. And actually, where I've got the hero and the welcome should be actually up in the app, I think. Oh, yeah, I think that's true. So I think down here in homepage, that's right here, yeah. Sorry for the scrolling. I think that where I've just got text input here, this probably ought to have the hero structure and call out to the welcome and then call out to the repository entry component with the on submit, and then we put all the logic in that component. That I think makes sense. So I think that's what we're going to do. La 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 la. So, okay, what have I done up here? Okay. So the hero stuff is going to need to be. So actually, this whole, and I've got the repository entry code. Yeah, is up there. So I'm actually going to lose all this commented out stuff, and we want this to end up down in. Oh, actually, no, I didn't want to comment all that out because I'm actually going to want to keep that here. Yeah. So I'm going to grab this and we'll get rid of the commented out code in a second. Back to home page. So this part here is going to get replaced with this. Whoa. Move you in. Move you in. Okay. So this is going to look like this. We're going to have welcome and we're going to have repository entry. We're going to get rid of all that. Boom, boom. And this repository entry is going to have an on submit. And this is going to go away. And now repository, and this is going to become repository entry. Yeah. So we're going to lose this. This goes away. This is going to become repository entry. This is going to become repository entry. And then we're going to just have the commented out part. So you're going to go away, and you two divs are going to go away. And then all of this is going to get uncommented out and shifted over to here. So now that, in theory, I think, and we can move welcome now to just above homepage. Now, does this compile and does it run? I'd really like to have some tests in all of this. I'm actually a big fan of tests, and the fact that there aren't any tests does irk me somewhat. But I'm not sure how to structure the tests at the moment. So I thought about doing some Cypress end-to-end tests, which I have done. I proved to myself that I could do that with the U app, but I haven't done anything with it here yet. Okay, so it looks right. That's a win. And it works. Huzzah! Okay. So I think that does improve the situation. So the home component now has this hero section, which has these two components. Now, I don't know whether really this ought to be pulled off into its own component to encapsulate all that stuff, But if it does, then we've got this problem with the on submit and the we'll add a layer where the properties have to go down through that component to get to the repository entry component, and then when the repository entry component emits, it's going to have to emit back through that intermediate component. And I don't know that I want to get into that right now. This also, I've mentioned this before, but I do feel like maybe contexts are the way to deal with some of this. I feel like we're going to be passing a lot of information up and down and up and down and up and down, whereas a context might be better, but I hate the idea of global stuff, and a context seems basically like a big global variable, so I'm not super thrilled about that. Yeah, I don't know. So I'm going to leave this be for now. So we got those two guys, and I think we have better names now. And yeah, I think that's definitely preferable. I don't know that the ordering of things is sensible, but then, like we said, probably want to move these bigger things off into their own files anyway. So let's actually do a commit. I think that would be, we've made a lot of changes, so one or more commits seems to be in order. And what all have we done? So we have renamed text input to repository entry. We pulled out the welcome piece, and we cleaned this business up where we didn't need to have a separate display for archived things because we don't have any archived things anymore. And then we replace the text input with our hero thing down here. So I'm actually going to make this a commit of its own. That's weird. Okay. So, what did I do? Unstage. I staged the wrong piece. I wanted this hunk. I think I clicked the wrong button. No, I've done it again. I must be where stage hunk. It must be this. Yeah. So this interface. Yeah, so this is talking about these lines. So this is the hunk I want to stage. Okay, fine. So remove logic for coloring archived repositories. We're now filtering out all archived repositories. So there is no need to have logic to color them separately. I also modified the sum of the colors to look better in light mode. Boom. Okay, so that takes care of that. And then the rest of this was rearranging text input and making the hero thing. Okay. So, refactor text input component. I think we'll just say that. So this restructures the old text input component into two, well, actually I should say the DaisyUI, the text input component using the DaisyUI hero component into two U components, welcome and repository entry. This keeps the nice hero component layout, but separates the welcome message from the logic handling the organization. Oh, it's not repository entry, it's organization entry. Organization entry. I should fix that before I commit. So really this should be, now my guess is that this will not work. Organization entry. Like it probably didn't know that there was an organization entry reference here. No, it did not. Oh, it did. Go team. That's nifty. I wasn't sure it was going to figure that out, but I was wrong. And now rename this organization entry. And hopefully that should, oh, and this props is badly named now that I think about it. So this should be rename symbol organization entry props. And that I think will look better. Let's confirm that it all still works. So it's really hot here today. We're in a heat warning, and which is part of why I have the curtains drawn over here, and it's kind of dark and cavey at the moment because I don't want to cook as the sun continues to strengthen. Hey, that worked. So actually I want to stage that as well. Yeah, so now the props are organization entry props. Text input has been turned into organization entry. Props have changed. Okay, everything else looks good. So this should be changed to organization entry. Organization entry. Yeah. The hero component has now moved into the home page component. Can't see because my mic's in the way. And the organization entry now is just about entering the organization. Boom. Ba-do, ba-do, ba-do. Okay. So that's a happy thing. I think we did good. Now, what do we work on next? Let's actually look at pagination. I would like to see if I can make the pagination stuff work from Daisy. And that seems relevant to this display question, or related at least to the display question. And I really probably should have created a branch for all of this, but I think I am going to create a branch for pagination because, man, I can imagine that blowing up. So I'm going to go ahead and push those guys. And I'm going to make a branch for add pagination. Boom. And then, yep, we're in add pagination land here. That's awesome. Now, to do this, we're going to need to know, so we're going to need to know how to do pagination. Where is pagination in all of this? That's a good question. There it is. We need to know how to do pagination. And oh, so it's a group of buttons. Is all. So we do have to do most of the work. I think I was sort of hoping there'd be something, but I mean, this is all CSS. This isn't code, so that's not super surprising. So we are going to have to like make the buttons and have the logic that makes the pages work. So this is actually going to probably be a little work. So, but it's good work. So let's go ahead and wrestle with it and see if we can make it happen. I suspect this is one of these things that if you paid a little extra money, you probably get some JavaScript that did some more of this for you. But since we're doing this in Rust, we're probably kind of on our own. So, yeah, we'll be fine. So what we also have to do is figure out when we get the repositories from an organization, do we get how many there were? And I'm assuming that there is some kind of, somewhere down here we will get, after we get out of the repository part, we must get a list of how many repositories there are. Come on, you can do it. Sorry for all the scrolling, but oh, come on. Get to the section with the data about okay. So, is this information about the repository? License, forks required. A bunch of. Well, that actually, I'm not sure I saw anywhere a is that going to be in organization? Maybe we have to ask the organization how many repositories it has. This lists all the organizations. Get an organization. What does this do? What do we get for an organization? Public repos 2. So it does tell us how many repositories there are. And I think I'm inclined to just deal with public stuff at the moment. Members. Doodly doodly doo 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 doo. Public repos. Public gist. So we can ask how many repos there are, but we don't know how many are archived already. It's really annoying that this call doesn't tell us how many there are. I want to actually confirm. So let's see. Let's grab this. UMMC side 3601 S20. So yeah, we just get an array of repositories. It just goes straight into the repositories. So there's no information about how many there are altogether. Well, that's kind of annoying. And if we go to organizations and we get the info for an organization, get an organization. So it's just orgs and then the org. So we just get rid of this. So it says it has 55 public repos, but we don't have any information about how many of those are already archived. So if we want this is annoying, because if we want to filter them out so they don't show up at all, then it'll break the pagination. because there's 55, but let's say 10 of them are already archived. We'll think there are 55 and we'll build the pagination around 55, but there will only be 45, and so the pagination is going to do something weird at some point. Alternatively, we can go back to displaying the archived repositories just after I remove that logic. And then the pagination will be correct, but the archived repositories will end up kind of in the way. And one thing we could do is we could sort the list of repositories so that the archived ones are at the end. So we could shuffle the archived ones all to the end of the repository list, and then they're still there and the pagination will still work, but the archived repositories won't be cluttering up the world and making things sort of be interspersed in a way that makes things awkward. Well, for now, let's go ahead and just leave them in the list, but we will reformat things so that they're not, so it's clear that they're archived already. And then we'll tidy up from there. So, okay. Let's go back here. That's annoying that I just undid that. So that was down in here. So we actually don't want this filter anymore, which is kind of a bummer because I like that filter. It was a good filter. And now we do need to have, so the name we had in some kind of other color. Excuse me. Some other color here. So if ampersand, no, repository dot name, no, dot archived. So if it's archived, then we'll want to do one thing, otherwise we'll do something else, and the something else is this. And this will be the same, but we probably want a class that's like text grade 300. I don't know. Yeah, so like it says success here and then it starts the build again. I don't know why it starts the build again. And the second build always seems a little faster. So that's weird. Okay, I think this has an archived repository in it. Or not. I swear that had an archived repository in it. I think I archived something here. But maybe it, oh, no. Oh, interesting. There's one with no description. So that somehow wasn't created. Oh, it wasn't created with GitHub Classroom. The students created that by hand. Okay, now I'm confused as to why I thought there was. What's over here? That's U stuff. GitHub. Well, I don't know. We could try S20. Is anybody archived here? Archived. Okay, so there are in S20 there are archived repositories, but do they show up in the first 30 is the question. And the answer is probably no. This doesn't have as many. So there's a bunch of archive repositories here. How many repositories are there in this thing? It doesn't tell us. If we say public, there are 25, and so we should be seeing all of them, and 15 of them are archived. So if I'm not getting archive repositories here, that's not good. Now this actually I'm sure is archived, now that I think about it. Wah, wah, wah. So what was that top one? S16 Lab 4 Mongo. Yeah, right there. So that is an archived repository. So I think somehow I am not getting. So this didn't work, or. So what is my repository? Yeah, archived is a Boolean. If it's already archived, I wonder if text gray 300 is not a thing. What if we change it to green? 300. Wah, 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 da, 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 da. La 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 la. Come on, go faster, little computer. Yeah, I should figure out why this build happens twice, because that is annoying and definitely slows things down. Okay, so these now have the light green color, and that's got the darker color. So these archives are showing up as archives. So I bet text gray isn't a thing. Tailwind, CSS, colors, text color, no. Text, oh, it's AY, and I think I said EY. Yep, I did. AY. Wada wada wada, daddly daddly deedly deedly dee. And you are gonna work. You are gonna work. You are gonna work. I am optimistic that you will work. Seaside 3601. Yeah, okay. That's better. Okay, so we've got our things. And I think actually what I want to do is probably make each of these a card. Now that I've got Daisy in here, I think making a card out of each of these would be, with a checkbox in the card, would make a lot of sense. It would help provide some visual structure to all of this. What I'm not clear about is whether you'd want the cards to actually like stack sideways as well as down, or not. Not super clear on that. I mean, normally things like lists of repositories, lists of email messages, those kinds of things are done purely vertically, and so I'm not sure. Oh, is the pagination information not in the response link header? Sorry, I didn't see this earlier. I had something covering up the chat thing. So you're thinking that the response that we get back response link header. So are you talking about the header of the response, the not body of the response? So here we make the request, and so you're, if I'm understanding, you're suggesting that the response here, if we looked in other parts of the response, we would be able to get that information. And I wonder if that's true. GitHub doesn't say anything about that in their documentation, but that doesn't mean it's not true. Aha. Oh, come on. Oh, look at you. A whole thing on pagination. Well done, Isitsu. Thank you. I have no idea if I pronounced that anything remotely correctly. This is potentially super useful. Okay, so requests that return multiple items will be paginated to 30 items by default. You can specify further pages with the page parameter. Okay. Now, some endpoints use cursor-based pagination. So I presume we're not dealing with that. Link header. Okay, yeah, so I knew we could do this, and that we would need to do that. But this is what we're sending them. We're saying which page we want, but it's not giving us any information about how many things there are coming back. Now this could be useful. I hadn't been aware that that was a thing. So I don't know. Okay. I'm going to look look at this page. Oh. No, that's definitely not where we want to go. So I don't know. I'm not sure how to read this part. Yeah. Oh, with last. Oh. So help me out here. I'm not sure. I don't think I understand how I would use these rel values. I don't know how this, where this goes. Okay, so we should look at the full response header. I think that makes sense. I was wondering if that was where we needed to be at the end of the day. So, I hadn't actually thought about this, and I don't know that I have anything set up to deal with requests. There is it Thunder something? Thunder client. Oh, and I have that installed, but it says I need to do a reload. I don't know why that is. Probably an update. So I could potentially use that. Ha ha ha. Because I think that will let me make. No. Oops, I clicked on the wrong thing. There we go. So I think we can send something here and new request. So let's grab, let's try this and see what this tells us. Send. Okay. And here's the whole response. And it's just what we get because we don't get anything else. Headers. Anything in the headers? Content? No. So some rate limit stuff, but nothing else. But that's not entirely surprising because really repos is probably where we would hope to get something. So here we just get the array. Now, do we get anything interesting here? No. There is no useful information in the header in the response. Well, that's too bad. Oh, there is a link header there. Link header. Oh, right there. Oh, boom. Yes. Okay. And so, and this tells us that the next page would be page 2, but that the last page would also be page 2, and that's what you were trying to get at, I think. If that's true, you are awesome. That is super helpful. So yeah, so we could parse this, and we would know how many pages there are straight up. Yeah, very cool. Very, very cool. So that's a weird little thing to parse, but not impossible. If they send us next and last, we could just look for the last occurrence of page equals and grab the number after that. Or we could be fancier and look for the rel equals last piece. I suspect, let's see, where do I want to be here? If we go to repositories, come on, hello. There we are, that was slow. Yeah, if we say page equal in our request, and then we get some things, and the link now has prev, doesn't have next because we're at the end, and doesn't have last because we're at the end, but does have first. Interesting. Yeah. And I expect if we change this to 1, it'll go back to, yeah, being that. And then if we went to, oh, and actually I could force per page, if we did something like and per page, that was underscore, yes, equals like 5, and that'll force us to be able to see yeah, so now last is page 5, no, page 11, which makes more sense, and we have a next which goes to page 2, and if we make this page like 3, we should have a next and a previous. So previous is page 2, next is page 4, last is page 11, and first is page 1. Aha. Okay, that is super useful. Thank you. Thumbs up. Okay. So we ought to be able to look for rel last and then find the page number there. So let's first, oh, we were here already. Let's first see if we can get that info out of the response. Okay. So we should be able to do something like web sys console log 1 format bang the link element of the header was boom 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 response dot so now I need to figure out what we can get out of a response. And we're using requasm, so I need requasm response. Requasm response. HTTP, probably. Response. Status, headers. So headers. And then we can get a header by a name. So where were we? We were right here. Dot headers. Dot get. And we just give it a name. And that name, if we come back to here, was little L link. Oops. Get link. Boom. Oh, we have to probably do the into thing. Doesn't like that. Oh, that's because I can't spell. Oh, and that's why none of the IntelliSense was working. Okay, and now... Oh, it's a method. Duh. Not a field. And now it's probably... Oh, yeah. That's not surprising. So in theory, that will print. As we rebuild. Ooh, very exciting. And let's show JavaScript console. Hello. There we go. Seaside 3601. Oh, the link element of the header was none. I did something wrong. Okay. So we're in the headers. We have link. Response.headers. Get link. Headers. Get. Now there was a keys. Is an iterator over the names of the headers, and then there's entries. Has. Wah wah wah. Fum. Oh, that's a possibility. But I think there were at least two. Like, even... So if we go back here, if we get rid of this, and we take that to be page 1, and we send... Yeah, there's still a link for that. Oh, that's the S20. Maybe that's the problem. oh, look at you being smart again. That was exactly the problem. There's not enough in that particular repository. So we're going to have to be a little careful about this. There won't always be a link entry if there's not, and that forces it to be there. So there won't always be a link entry if there aren't multiple pages of repositories. Good catch. Okay. So one of the reasons I love doing this online is that smart people like you save me when I'm flailing, and that is a wonderful thing. Okay, so come back here. And so if we change this to, actually then, if we change this to S20, we should see the link. Whoa, we blew up a thing. Rar? I still have, no, that's not what is going on. Why did that blow up? So that was weird. Okay, so if I do the one that doesn't have anything, that has only one page, life is good and I get a none there. And if I do something that has pages, then it worked. Okay, I don't know what happened there. That was very weird. But maybe I typoed and I have a repository, an organization that didn't exist. Oh, did I miss an S again? Yeah. So that's why that blew up. So we do get a sum with just a big string, and we ought to be able to parse into that string to find out how many pages there are. Haha. So, okay, so we're going to need, so this is going to need to be part of the state of something, because we're going to have to remember this. And so right now, our state is just a vector of the repositories. We could make another state thing, I think, that would be the page, or we could combine them into a single state that had both the page number and the current list of repositories. And I honestly don't have any sense of what the pros and cons there are. I feel like there probably is something to do with when things get re-rendered, maybe. Let's, just to be cheap, see if we can just plop it in as page number, use state 1. So we'll start with 1, and actually that would be the current. So we're gonna have several pieces. This really probably should be in a struct, because we need the current page. We want to know the last page. So I think we want to fancy this up here, and we want to have a state struct. So pub struct repository list state. And we're going to have a list of repositories, which is similar, right, to, don't we have a, maybe not. I was thinking there was a vec of repositories somewhere, but I could be wrong. So that's going to be and it is going to be a vec of repositories, right? Because we, yeah. So vec repository, and we're going to need to know the current page, which is going to be a U size, and a last page, which will be a U size. And now, that's just all saying these are never used, yeah. So now, this state is going to get more complicated. So we're going to have a repository list state, repositories vec bang, and one, and ooh. So last page isn't really optional. We'll always know what it is. But at this point, we don't know what it is because we don't know how many pages there are. So we could either do something like put in 0 as a cheap hack, or make it optional. Oh, I've got to have the things, yeah, current page and last page. I'm going to actually put a note here. This is, yeah, could. I thought of trying to decide whether I want like 0 as an indication that we haven't set it yet. Whereas 1, we might think that's a valid value when we haven't actually checked how many pages there are. Kind of looking for some way to break things. If we don't do it right, it should tip over and die. Whoa, not happy. Oh, it's going to be a function, right? So, boop, 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 boop. Okay, that's better. Response. Man, I am terrible. Spelling. Okay, so that's our state now. Now this is going to be broken. So these things are going to need to be maybe we're, I wonder if we're not supposed to have sort of complex state things, because the set on states rewrites the whole state, and means we'll have to build a new struct, although we can use the ... business to get the old things. Although I guess actually really we want to build the whole thing, don't we? So there's really no reason not to do this. Yeah, because we want to build the entire thing. We're going to need to parse the link and fill in the parts here. Okay. So we're gonna have to parse. What time is it? Oh, we got 20 minutes. We should be able to do this hopefully. So we're gonna need to get that link piece. Let's give that a name. Yeah, that's what I want. Refactor. Can I do that here? No. Not surprised, but okay, so if we still want to record that. Now here we're going to have some kind of match on link. No, that's not the right syntax. Well, I never remember the match syntax. Rust match. No, I was right. And then, okay. I was probably unhappy because I just haven't got, I haven't found all the options. Okay. So none and some link stir. Okay. So if none, so we're going to actually want to make the repository of the repository list state here. Which means we want to actually do this. Both of these guys up here. And so if the link is none, so we're going to have repo state, let stop it, undo, let repo state equal match, and I'm actually going to type that because that'll perhaps clean some things up. Repository list state. So if there was no link text, then repositories is going to be the repos result, and the current page is 1, and the last page is 1. Okay. And then here we'll have repository list state, repositories repos result. Let's just make sure it compiles for now. I want to make sure, oops, I think there needs to be a comma there. Is that right? Yeah. And why are you unhappy? No, I must have the syntax wrong somewhere. Match blah value fat arrow thing comma. What is the problem? While parsing the match arm. Match and a value and a curly brace. No. Why are you not liking this? Need a semicolon here. I don't think that's the problem. Oh, was that the problem all along? Ah, good grief. That's annoying. And then this would be repo state. Okay. And now this is going to be repo. So repositories is the state. So it's actually going to be repositories. Oh, so this is a bad name now, actually. I'm actually going to change that to repository list state. Oh, no, we're not in Java. Okay. Dot repositories is empty, and okay. Does that all work? Have I broken the world? Yeah, you were right about the semicolon. Thank you. Seaside 3601 S. Oh, let's try just this. Okay. And then let's try S20. Okay. So we seem to have not broken things yet. So now we should have all of this stuff in the state, and if we parse the link piece, we ought to be able to get, so if we actually write a function we can call here. So parse last page from link. Oops. And then we'll have to define a function. Fn parse last page takes a I don't know what is oh, it's an so it's actually, I want link stir here, and so we'll have link stir string. Okay, and we're gonna, oh, and I have to return actually, this would be a place where returning a stir slice would be nice, because we should be able to just return a pointer into the thing. Now that will fail. And that's clearly not right, but at least it compiles. Oh, but I don't want to return I want to return a number. So this needs to be usize. So that actually ought to compile, he says optimistically. Yeah, okay. Now we need to get so we need to do some regular expression fun and excitement. And I have never done Rust regular expression. Regex. That's not true. I did some in the Rustlings exercises. I just don't remember the details. So I can have a regular expression that matches a string. Do I actually want to get that fancy? Oh, go away. And we are going to need capturing groups. Yeah, maybe just actually compiling a regular expression is the simplest thing to do. So I'm going to just steal this code as an example. Boom. That's going to have to come up to the top. We'll put you there. Oops, no, what am I doing? Oh, we have to actually add that to our cargo.toml. So we're depending on regex. No idea what the 160. With that. So now that doesn't shout at me. And here we are. So, boom. Oh, stop. Boom. So our regex is going to look like so we come back over here. There's our link. So we're going to have rel equals last, and before that we're going to have page equals something. Okay. So our regular expression should have regex new I don't know what the R does. That's an interesting question. Oh. Gotcha. So then I can say \d without the double backslash. That's actually kind of nice. We'll go with that. Okay. Unwrap. Boom. So we want page equal \d plus and then some random stuff, and then rel equals last. Dot star. Do we have to be careful that we don't eat too much? Not sure about that. Equal last is not happy about that. Suffixes on string literal. Are raw things doing something weird with my quote? And there is a quote in that, I think, so I will have to deal with that. Yeah, there is. Poop. So escape. Escape. Rust, regular expression, escape, quote. So maybe the fact that they don't process any escapes. Yeah, okay. Prepend hashes. Oh, that's kind of cool. Okay, so we can use this as a sort of marker that we're done. Well, I can do that. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it was, they go after the quote mark. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then that goes away, and that goes away, and yes, it's happier now. Okay. Now oh, and we're going to need to capture this group. And how do we... So, okay. Split at comma, find where ends with last, split at semicolon, take first, trim. Oh. I hadn't thought about using the URL crate to parse the whole thing. That's an interesting possibility. I'm going to make a note of that. I think that's not what I'm going to do here, but I want to remember that you suggested that. And now I need to what? Where's my... Oh, here we are. So I need groups. Capture groups. Example. Capture group. So we have this, we have our text. Our regular expression captures iter. I only have one capture group. I feel like an iterator is a little overkill. But maybe that's what happens. And there was a list down here, grouping. So it's a numbered capture group. So I ought to be able to just get to it, right? Oh yeah. So I can say captures, and then I can refer to the first one. Okay. Okay. So I think that'll work. So my regular expression. So re.captures link stir, and I need to give that a name. So let cap is that, and why are we unhappy? So we'll borrow that in. And then we should have that the first, so we need to parse cap 0 and return that. And I don't remember how to parse. I've done it, but I don't remember. Parse int. Oh, it's just, no. dot parse, and then we have the type. Cap 0 dot parse colon usize dot unwrap. Fingers crossed that will return. Oh, but it wasn't cap. It was ampersand cap. Nope, not happy. Cannot index into a value of type. Option. I bet I needed to unwrap the captures. Yes, I did. Now there's a lot of unwrapping here, and that strikes me as dangerous and evil. That did not work. Why are we unhappy? Oh. Yeah, okay. So there are 3 unwraps in a row, which means there's a lot of ways that could go bad. Does this compile? Does this run? How would we know if it ran? We don't print anything. So actually, if we do this, the new repo state is repository list state into, nope, didn't like that. Oh, so I don't do that. So let's derive debug. Okay. Now it should print, compile. So what was it fussing about here? Has derived, but is intentionally ignored during dead code analysis. Not entirely sure whether that's a thing of consequence or not. No, bad things happened. Aha. So attempting to parse failed. And of course we get no useful information about what the string was that it failed to parse. That's not super helpful. So line 161. Oh, I really should be wrapping this up, but I feel like we're close. 161. So right here, that did not parse gracefully. So let's log our capture. Oh, that should have been after that. Okay, our capture was, let's move that down there, cap 0. Excuse the phone ringing in the background. Oh, hey, we do not. Do we need to turn this into one of these debug guys? Is that going to make that happier? Oh, I did it wrong. Yeah, let's do that. No. Does this need to be that? Aha. I think that took care of it. So we wanted to reference, not the thing. UMM Seaside 3601 S20. Blew up again. Our capture was, oh, a lot of stuff. A whole lot of stuff. So it went from page equal to rel next. Yeah, I was afraid of that. So actually, you know, your idea is that it may have actually been the better plan, because oh, you've gone and done it for me. I can tell. So split on commas, find the one that ends with, yeah, and then trim, split once at semicolon, and trim off the angles, parse the URL, and then find the page. Yeah. You know, that is probably the better. Yeah, no, actually, I don't know. I wouldn't say very poorly written. I mean, there's obviously some quick hacks to get it up and done, but actually, I think that's probably a better choice than what I was doing. Because I do like thinking about it, right? I like using the URL crate to parse these things, and then it really is just a matter of finding the right one and peeling out the relevant parts. Yeah, I think that's probably a better way to do it. Okay, it's 15 after. I was technically supposed to wrap this up 15 minutes ago. So I'm going to actually grab this and drop this in my code as a big comment. Next, I probably don't really want the star there. So the following is a quick sketch of what Isitsu's suggestion would look like. I think I like that better than what I'm doing with regux. But I need to quit now. Okay, so I think I'm gonna take that as a excellent starting point. I think I'm going to, what's the state of play here? Aha. So there's regex there, which may have to get changed, and then we'll have to add the URL crate. So this doesn't actually work at the moment, but I think it's a reasonable start. So we on pagination, this doesn't yet work, but it's a start on adding pagination of repositories. We've had to expand the state of the repository list component to include the current and last page numbers. The last page, I can't spell apparently, include, there we go. The last page number should be parsable from the link field in the response header, but that's not yet fully working. I tried using regex and got close, but not quite there. Isitsu from Twitch suggested an alternative approach that parses the URLs using the URL crate, and I might switch to that. Is there anything else I need to say here at the moment? Oh yeah, we restored the display of previously archived repositories. And I can't spell again. Wow, so bad. Doesn't even know it. Previously. There we go. Because without them, the pagination will be all confused. When we get this working, we probably, that should probably be part of this paragraph, do something to shuffle the archived repos to the end of the list. Okay, I think that looks good. Boom. I think that's a deal. I'm going to push that. It's going to need some work, but that's why we have branches. And then I can work on it from laptop later. So thank you. That was super helpful. I really appreciate the ideas and the feedback. And I think that this turned out to be a lot more about parsing and the response headers than I had expected when I decided, oh, well, let's do pagination. I'd been thinking we were mostly going to be in like user interface land, but this is all good. It needed to happen. And I had somehow thought it would be easier to get that information than it turned out to be, but life's a challenge. So thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Let me make sure, I should be here on Saturday as scheduled. I don't think I have any reason why that wouldn't happen. Yep, I'm good on Saturday. And it's possible I should be here on Tuesday as well. Yeah. So Tuesday next week should also be good. It's possible that Saturday the 13th won't be happening. Somewhere around then or the following week, we'll be moving our child to graduate school in Madison. And there'll be some driving around and packing up vans full of stuff and blah, 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 blah. And so this is probably going to be a casualty of that family fun. But we should have several more before we run into that. I would have expected the information to be somewhere easier to find, but apparently not. Such is the way of the world. But and actually, before I lose everybody, was the video okay? I cranked up the resolution to 1080 from 960 or something, based on a comment from a viewer last week or on Saturday. And so was the performance reasonable? I did notice, I felt like there were definitely some moments where it was kind of right on the edge of what my network and everything could handle. I'm assuming it was not terrible or somebody would have said something, but I would certainly love to have any feedback or comments on the video if anybody's got anything to share on that front. Otherwise, I don't think I have any other news. Okay, well, thank you. Yay. Then I'll keep these settings until somebody tells me different, and we'll hope that works out better. So thank you all, especially Asitsu, for the excellent suggestions and feedback. I really appreciate it. And I will see everybody on Saturday. Have a good week. And if it's hot where you are, I hope you don't melt. So we'll talk to you later. Bye.